took place in January 2023. If we were to be taking the decision today, building a legacy head office would not have been a priority. However, this is a project that has been running for 3 years and about 50% complete. The bank is fully aware of its responsibilities to ensure that the costs do not escalate beyond reasonable levels, and that many of the original design features, including the data center, the currency processing center, ICT equipment, and specialized security features will have been deferred, and only gray boxes provided for future use to manage costs.
Well, and since this press conference, George, the Bank of Ghana has published a further and better particulars relating to the
details on
Yes.
when this construction started, specific features, and what it's supposed to do, and what they've done so far.
and also the procurement processes
Yes.
that led to the selection of the current contractor. Gold Key Properties, but also the project management company under single source and restricted tendering.
Yeah.
We'll get through to that for you pretty shortly. But George, there was a central accusation in all this, which is that the central bank may have printed money in the midst of the crisis to finance government. You asked that question.
Yeah.
What was the answer?
Well, the government claims that, listen, they have a lot of resources in their fold, or let's use the word the vault, that they can rely on. And even, for instance, commercial banks keep some fraction of their deposit with the Bank of Ghana. And they had to fall on this reserves or resources to finance government, meaning this overdraft that was carried out in last year, they fell on these resources to finance government. And that it is not accurate that they went out to physically print money to support government's budget or finance government's operations.
Okay, so that's a categorical denial there. There was a physical printing of cash to finance government operations, and as I've been saying, the minority today are formally writing to the police, communicating intention to embark on this protest on the 5th of September. I want to bring in the communications officer of the Opposition National Democratic Congress. Sami Jemfi joins us right now on the telephone line. Sami, let's start first with the issue on the headquarters. Are you satisfied with the explanations we've got today? Subsequently, they publish the fuller details, the further and better particulars that we can all now see the justification for the procurement procedures that were adopted and investments made. Happy?
Ivan, I think Ms. Governor Addison has rather made his worth by the press conference he held today, because none of the flimsy justifications he canvassed justifies the decision by the Bank of Ghana to engage in this totally misplaced priority at this time. You know, first of all, we have indicated our opposition to this project, not because we disagree in principle with the idea that the Bank of Ghana needs, a new office complex. We have opposed this project on 3 main grounds. The first is the timing of the project. The second is the cost of the project. And the third has to do with the processes leading to the project. And with regards to the first issue of timing, what we have said is that in this critical time where Ghanaians are going through excruciating hardships because the Ghanaian economy has been virtually collapsed, we have, for the first time in 4 decades, defaulted on our debt obligations as a country. Currently, the government is imposing a draconian, punitive debt restructuring program on bondholders and government creditors. You have serious liquidity challenges, that the government as an institution is going through with its attendant hardships on the people. You cannot, in the midst of all these crises, decide that you are going to invest a whopping $250 million into an ultra-modern, palatial office complex at this time.
Well, Sammy, but the central bank governor does not disagree with you. In fact, he agrees with the point you just made. Let me quote you what he said. He says, quote, if we were to be taking the decision today, building a legacy head office would not have been a priority. But the decision was not taken today, he says. The construction, the decision to commence was 2019. And he says the appropriations for the head office were made each year from profits, 2019, 2020, 2021. So he agrees with you, except that the decision was not taken this year.
Okay, that is what even makes it worse. Because per his own press statement, this contract was awarded on the 26th of March 2020. And as a matter of fact, 26th of November 2020. That was the time where COVID was at its peak. That was one of the lowest points of this country in history. In terms of our economy, everything was in disarray. You understand? And the Bank of Ghana had to even give government money in the form of bonds to the tune of 10 billion Ghana cedis. In fact, at some point, Ms. Governor Addison, is on record to have said that the Bank of Ghana could not continue to support the economy if COVID persisted, because we were in a very precarious situation in 2020. And so, how can he say that it is not a priority, it wouldn't have been a priority for the Bank of Ghana to have commenced this project in 2023, when our economic situation, as at the time this project was awarded, which is 26 November 2020, was worse than it is today. Even though the contract was awarded on the 26th of November 2020, according to Ms. Governor Addison, the site for the project was handed over to the contractor in March 2021. Evans, can you in all honesty tell me that Ghana is currently in a better financial position today than it was in 2021 March? The answer is definitely no. So this guy is just contriving flimsy and baseless excuses. But you see, the more he does that, the more he continues to expose himself. If he agrees with us that this project is a misplaced priority given the economic difficulties we have on our hands today, then how can he say that the project, at the time it was awarded in November 2020, was a priority? Or at the time the site was released to the contractor in March 2021 was a priority? Compare the growth rate of our economy in 2020 to the growth rate in 2023. Compare all the economic matrices. They were all worse than it is today as compared to when this project was awarded. So that justification falls flat. Is a non-starter, and you shouldn't even go there. But
then, if you look at the specifics, though, you're talking about value for money. He says they've managed. If you look at other projects in that same range, they are doing a per square meter of just over $2,000, which compares quite competitively with others who are far higher, close to $3,000, and that is only due to the prudence of the management and the decisions they've taken to even cut some of the aspects and additions out.
First of all, let's concede that this justification of the project being a priority after the time it was awarded is completely nonsensical. So, and let's move to this issue of cost. Look, the amount of money the Bank of Ghana is pumping into this needless project, which is hovering around $250 million as we speak, okay, can build 3,756 unit classroom blocks. As a matter of fact, if you want to look at health, it can build over 3,000 chip compounds. And it is 4 times more expensive than similar buildings in the same city of Accra. In fact, in the same location the building is being put up. In that same location where this new needless palatial office complex is being put up, you have the newly built EcoBank head office, one of the most beautiful, most extravagant buildings you can find in Accra. That building cost EcoBank $60 million. $60 million.
But it has none of the features that this particular building will have.
They don't have vaults there. Who told you? They should tell us what is in this new building that is not in the EcoBank building, which was built very recently and commissioned very recently. Look, this is a building which, according to the Bank of Ghana, per their own letters to the Public Procurement Authority, was supposed to originally cost the taxpayer $100 million. This is contained in Ms. Governor Addison, the money printer's own press statement, which you read today, $100 million. The Public Procurement Authority, after analyzing all the documentation, the design, came to the conclusion that the project should not cost more than $81 million. So the original PPA approval for the project was at a cost of $81 million. Then Ms. Governor Addison goes to do his own evaluation, his own base, and awards a contract 50% more the approved amount. So instead of $81 million, he awards a contract at $121 million. Then the PPA raises queries. The Central Tender Review Committee also raises queries. How can you do this? You were given approval for $81 million. Why would you award a contract at $121 million? Then he says that, he used restricted tendering, and $121 million was the lowest bid he got. So they give him the approval. It is ratified. Then, as he's implementing this project, without the approval of the PPA or the Central Tender Review Board, he now varies the scope and the designs of the project and increase the cost of the project from $121 million to $227 million. And the contractor actually started implementing this newly varied contract, new scope, new design. They started implementing it, executing it before he wrote to the Public Procurement Authority. And that this complicit Public Procurement Authority and its appendage, the Central Tender Review Board, decide to give their blessing to this palpable illegality.
But in the last few minutes, the BOG has published the further and better particulars. And as far as cost is concerned, the only cost item there approved, according to their own account of how they came to what cost, is 121 million. There isn't a mention of 250 million in the BOG's own account. Where are you getting that money from?
So that is why I indicated to you that Ms. Governor Addison has only made his case, worse. Even check your WhatsApp. And this is a very, very important platform that, we owe it a duty to our listeners to educate them and share with them the true facts. If you check your WhatsApp now, I forwarded to you a letter dated 17th January 2023. And this letter was written by the Central Tender Review Committee. In fact, it is on their letterhead. And this is a committee of the Ministry of Finance. The title of the letter is Construction of Corporate Headquarters, Our South Rate Accra Variation. Now, when you read paragraph 2 of the letter, it says that the committee reviewed the Bank of Ghana's variation request at the 17th emergency sitting on Thursday, 29th December 2022. In a letter dated 30th December 2022, the committee communicated concerns to Bank of Ghana, which was responded to in a letter dated 5th January 2022. Following a review of the response, the committee noted that the issues raised remain unsatisfactorily addressed. Bank of Ghana was accordingly invited to a clarification meeting and was subsequently requested to submit the original contract document, design proposal, differences in scope of work, and other relevant documentations of the project to facilitate the review of the request. Now, paragraph 3. At the 21st emergency meeting on Tuesday, 17 January 2023, the committee reviewed the documentation submitted by Bank of Ghana and noted the following. 1. Inadequate project design conception and preparation of the original contract. Look at the next one. Entirely new scope in design for the revised project. Entirely new scope in design for the revised project. Then you come to 3. Revised scope of work has already commenced prior to seeking approval from the Central Tender Review Committee. In spite of this, check paragraph 5 of the letter. This complicit Tender Review Committee, instead of suspending this project, now says at paragraph 5 that in view of the stage of the project and the reasonableness of the unit cost, the committee grants concurrent approval for the revised scope of works at a contract amount of $222,799,760.
Yeah, but that is still 250 million.
Look, and this price excludes the cost of the land. The land which, according to them, was compulsorily acquired. They paid compensation for it. How much did they pay? Add that, you will see 250 million.
Okay. Sami, thank you very much. And as we interrogate this, a lot more questions still to be answered by the central bank, indeed, as far as the building is concerned, but also on the economy. Sami, I'm grateful that you joined me with your thoughts. And as we know tonight, the minority had written to the police notifying them that they will go on that protest on the 5th of September. Also joining me right now with a quick intervention on the subject of the law, because we had the central bank governor today for the first time talk about whether or not he's breached the law because he failed to go to Parliament. Martin Kpebu is a lawyer, and he had maintained that the Bank of Ghana governor needed to do so. Martin, you heard the central bank governor today. He says it's the minister's responsibility to do so, and he breached the law. You agree?
I don't at all. I don't agree. Evans, the law is very clear, but before I read it out, this building, just one comment on it. I'll bet that because this building has a very low per unit cost, I really have sympathies for the Bank of Ghana on the building, because per unit cost, that building is cheaper than, you see, he mentioned EcoBank, there's Stanchart, there's Zenith Bank. This building per unit cost is cheaper than all those buildings. So when we are dealing with this, I think we should get more experts to come. You see, even the letter Mr. James read from, it says because of the reasonable cost per unit. So me, because I just saw that for the first time, government is building cheaper than private companies, I have a soft spot for the building, just that per unit costing. Now, let's come to the law. That one, I think Governor Addison got it wrong. Evans, the law says that when he reaches the threshold, he should also go to Parliament. You see, there is a principle of interpretation. The ordinary words have their ordinary meaning. He should go to Parliament by himself. Finance Minister going to Parliament doesn't excuse Governor Addison. Let's go to the subsection 7. It says, where the total of loans, advances, purchases of treasury bills and securities made under subsection 1 is 5% of the previous fiscal year's total revenue, the governor shall notify the minister and Parliament of the attainment of the limit. Let's just stop there. It says notify the minister and notify Parliament. And Evans, there's a reason. Our representatives will be able to ask questions. What's the build-up? Don't you see Jerome Powell in the U.S.? He goes to Congress. They grill him. They ask, what's happening this in the central bank governor, the Federal Reserve? Jerome Powell is subject to Congress. And also, let's not also forget, under Article 184, the Bank of Ghana has to report to the Finance Committee on Finance Committee of Parliament. He's been dodging them. So please, this one is very clear. You go and tell them, Master, we've reached the limit. Then they'll ask you what caused the limit. This. All those things, then he will answer. So under 7, when they've exceeded and come with a new, under 6, when they've come with a new figure and they say Finance Minister should go, let Finance Minister also go and do his. But the law is very clear. It says, when you reach the limit, notify Finance Minister, notify Parliament. Parliament is complaining that Governor Addison has been swerving them. He's been playing hide and seek with them, and that's where we'll hold him accountable. As for the building, like I said, please, every time I want to discuss it, let's look at the per unit cost.
I'm just
as
curious.
long as we keep building roads, hospitals, etc., then we should look at it. If we can't come to a standstill.
I'm just curious, will you join the protests on the 5th of September?
Absolutely. Oh, yes. Absolutely. So that on the matter of the monetary financing, that's financing government beyond the 5% and not notifying Parliament, that's why I'll be there. I'll not be there because of the building. As I say, as for the building, so far I have a soft spot just because of the per unit cost. But I'll be there to hold Governor Addison responsible on the matter of not notifying Parliament, the way he doesn't want to be subject to Parliament. If Parliament, look, the Constitution is clear that he must be answering to the Finance Committee. He's been swerving them. They only give reports 6 months, when the horses have bolted. No, they're building a democracy. What is he hiding?
Martin, thank you very much. And this is a subject, of course, we hear more of in business shortly.
Go for gold and bet risk-free on the new season with Betway. Use the golden booking code found on the Betway site to bet on selected match weeks from 11th August to 3rd September and get 100% back as a free bet on any losses. You always get more with Betway. Regulated by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. No under 18. Terms and conditions apply. Betway. Bet your way.
In the next 60 minutes here on News Night, smaller political parties take on Electoral Commission demanding they rescind decision to use only district offices for the September limited voter registration exercise.
We also want to publicly call on the Electoral Commission to rescind their decision and make the process more accessible and painless to enable the average Ghanaian to exercise their right and entitlement to be registered as a voter.
We have more as the parties unite to force the EC to comply. Also tonight, non-payment of contractors and theft of crucial parts are established as reasons behind the non-functioning traffic and street lights in most parts of the country, and the capital especially.
I find it very difficult to understand why a human being like you and I, they go and pull all the cables, cut them and go and sell. Then government will have to look for another money to fix them.
Then the major issue is that contractors are not being paid. They are not being paid.
But some of the assemblies have issues. Monies are not being paid to contractors.
Meanwhile, there's more than a 30% increase in persons killed due to road traffic accidents in July 2023 compared to the same period last year.
The little motivation is that comparing this year's figures to last year, we're seeing some reductions.
In business, Bank of Ghana insists it financed government budget last year from existing resources and kicking against the whole argument about printing fresh currency.
And in sports, Ghana's national long jump record holder Deborah Aqua appeals for support to treat injury after neglect by the country's sports authority.
And then later, in part 2 of our hotline documentary, Whispers in the Dark, we put the spotlight on the tragic phenomenon of children taking their own lives and what parents and the state can do to reduce the tragic losses.
We have a whole agency that works in that, Mental Health Authority. Some time back, this thing was coming up. There was an upsurge, and the chief executive of that authority actually had to talk to the nation and things like that. We need to get some reports from them.
And later, all-white meditative procession kickstarts 13th edition of the biggest street festival in Africa, Chalewote. We bring you the very latest. Stay with us. Plus your views, 055-1111-997. Details after this.
You ever buy credits where you get up to 20% of your money back before? Make I tell you about Vodafone's demo promo. See, anytime you recharge a demo, you get up to 20%, whether it be short code or your Vodafone cash wallet, or you use credit transfer to your number or someone else. And now you be high tech, so you use my Vodafone app or any payment app. However you do, Vodafone go send you up to 20% cash back into your Vodafone cash account. We'll reload here, but then you enter. Top up your airtime with 5 Ghana cedi or more in Vodafone's demo promotion and receive 20% of your money back straight into your Vodafone cash wallet. Recharge and cash out in the Vodafone demo promotion.
Vodafone, further together.
Prudential Life Insurance presents the 4th edition of Pru Ride Accra. Whether you're a professional, an amateur, or just ride for fun, join us. Date, Sunday, 10th September 2023 at Black Star Square, Accra. Registration starts at 6 a.m., race starts at 7:30 a.m. Professionals register through their clubs. Amateurs and enthusiasts register at prudential.com.gh or dial *778 *001 hash. Registration is free and ends by the 31st of August 2023. Ride for a chance to win up to 15,000 Ghana cedis and get branded medals and riding gears. Supported by Ghana Cycling Federation, Multimedia Group, Specialized Water, Fit Trip Gym, Sonotech Medical and Diagnostic Center, and Reggie's Juice Bar. Terms and conditions apply. For more information, call 020-201-8870 or 030-273-8727. Pru Ride Accra. Ride for life.
And you're live here on Newsnight. It's on Joy 99.7 FM. Tonight, a number of political parties have come together to pile pressure on the Electoral Commission to reverse its decision to exclusively use its district offices for the upcoming limited voter registration exercise in September. The coalition of parties asserts that the EC had previously tabled similar proposals during an inter-party advisory committee meeting, but these suggestions were dismissed due to concerns about the potential disenfranchisement. However, despite these reservations and the previous agreement, they allege the EC had gone ahead to declare on Thursday that it will proceed with the registration solely within its district offices, disregarding the party's apprehensions. Well, we'll hear from the parties, including GCPP, LPG, CPP, PNC, APC, NDP, and GFP shortly. But first, listen to the chairperson of the EC announcing these details last week.
The Electoral Commission will embark on a voters' registration exercise in all the 268 district offices of the Commission. The registration exercise will commence on Tuesday, the 12th of September, 2023, and end on Monday, the 2nd of October, 2023. The registration will take place in all the 268 district offices of the Commission, including the newly created Guan district. Each district office will serve as a registration center. The Commission staff at the district, that is the district electoral officers, the assistant district electoral officers, our secretaries and other staff will serve as our registration officers.
Well, that's Evans Mensah speaking just last week on the subject at a press conference. Now, we can hear from the spokesperson of the group of political parties, the General Secretary of the Great Consolidated Popular Party, Citizen Atodadze, who described the EC's decision to go ahead and use their offices as a stab in the back.
As political actors, we have been concerned and held several press conferences to educate and encourage the general public in order to build confidence and trust in the Electoral Commission of Ghana, as their work has serious implications to ensuring a free, fair, and transparent electoral process and elections whose outcome will be accepted by all. The Electoral Commission, contrary to the discussions at IPAC, made an announcement on a voters' registration exercise with modalities which was not by the consensus of political parties and civil society organizations who were present at the IPAC meeting held last Wednesday, 16th August 2023. All the political parties that were present unanimously objected to the registration exercise, as this was going to affect the participation of the general public. We also want to publicly call on the Electoral Commission through its chair, Mrs. Jane Evans Mensah, to rescind their decision and make the process more accessible and painless to enable the average Ghanaian who is eligible to exercise their right and entitlement to be registered as a voter.
Well, other political parties joined him at this particular press conference, and they corroborated what he just said there, alleging that the EC's actions are undermining the work of IPAC.
As an institution, cannot take a decision without the advice of political parties. And they acted in bad faith. Even not up to Monday, they came up with a release, contrary to what we had discussed at the IPAC. So you see, they are being unfair to the country, and they are being unfair to political parties, and they are undermining democracy as a whole.
It is also a mutual agreement, and it is not a servant-master relationship at IPAC. It might not be binding us in law, but it is binding us in the relationship that we have. That whatever discussions we have there, it should be a mutual agreement between two. But we also think that as time goes on, to make IPAC very strong, we need to legislate IPAC. There should be a law that would make whatever decisions we take there binding.
You know, that if EC should just take any action unduly, you know, without, of course, recourse to the public, which we represent, you know, with them. In fact, it is in their interest to listen to us, you know, even though we cannot say in law that, you know, it is binding, you know, whatever we do.
Well, 6 political parties in all attended this particular press conference. I want to bring in Evans Mensah, who is the Director of Research and Elections for the governing New Patriotic Party. They were not at this particular press conference, but I wonder, since they are one of the big two and they also sit in IPAC, do they share in the concerns we've just had there by these political parties? Mr. Nemako, thanks for your time here on Newsnight. Do you have these same concerns?
Hello, Evans.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Please come again.
Do you have the same concerns we've heard from these 6 political parties that conducting the registration exercise in district offices will disenfranchise people?
Well, thank you very much. I think for the New Patriotic Party, we've made our position very clear. We were very explicit on the issue when the EC made the submission at IPAC. We've said that, yes, the EC has the constitutional right to say this is where we want to do our registration exercise. But in order that the EC will lessen the burden of political parties who help in mobilization of registrants to get onto the electoral roll. In 2019, when the discussion came up, the EC, beside the district offices, also gazetted some additional registration centers. And we are reminding the EC to resort to those registration centers to help parties and other stakeholders and ensure that in the effort to open register for people to get their name onto the electoral roll, they don't go through so much of difficulty. Evans, if you look into the CI 91, the regulation now is explicit that the EC will have to do continuous voter registration. And the same provision says that the EC in doing so must consult with the political parties. In view of that, the EC constituted the modalities committee to ensure that if the new CI had come into effect, the modalities committee was going to ensure that there will be smooth registration of people who are due to be registered. We are appealing to the EC. I mean, under the circumstance, there have been no registration after the 2020 elections. A lot of people will have to be captured. It will still demand political parties mobilizing these people, helping to ensure that they get their name onto the electoral roll. If we take the district center as the registration center, it makes it difficult for people to travel distances to get to the EC office, more so when the system of registration will not be able to take too much of them. And you are doing this for 21 days. And so the New Patriotic Party has made it clear to the EC that they should resort also to the additional voting centers that were gazetted in 2019.
So clearly you've told the EC about your concerns. You want them to expand the centers beyond the district offices. Surprised then to learn just last week, the EC chairperson reading out the following words, quote, the registration exercise will take place in all 268 district offices of the Commission. And that appears to me that disregards the concerns you've expressed to the EC chairperson.
The New Patriotic Party, I think our position is not different from what the other political parties have carried this morning with respect to their press conference. We will continue to urge on the EC to engage critical stakeholders so that we will have smooth limited registration
exercise. Stay with me. I may have lost the spokesperson for the group of political parties, but I want to bring in the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, Mustafa Gbande, who is also joining us pretty shortly. Online right now, though, is the spokesperson for the group of political parties. He addressed a press conference today, Citizen Ato Dadzi. Mr. Dadzi, you addressed a press conference today, but you have IPAC. Do you plan to formalize this petition with the EC directly beyond the press conference?
Good evening, Evans, and good evening to your cherished listeners. The EC knew that there was IPAC, and they called us for a meeting at IPAC, which we were all present to have a discussion in relation to the modalities of the registration exercise. Unanimously, all the political parties that were present, there were 9 political parties, excluding GUM and the NDC. So all the 9 who were present, including sections of the civil society organizations and even international partners, i.e. the U.S. Representative from the U.S. Embassy and then representative from the Canadian High Commission, all contributed to say that the restriction of the exercise at the district offices of the Electoral Commission will be problematic and will not be participatory enough and might cause voter suppression or apathy. However, within 24 hours, the Electoral Commission decided to use the conference to announce these things when they themselves told us that they would get back to us on Monday. So if for them, they want to sidestep IPAC and do a press conference, we also addressed them today through a press conference that decision that they have taken is an unpopular decision. It has shown bad faith to all of us who attended the IPAC meeting. And in the end, what was the essence of the IPAC meeting then? If this was the way they were going to go, then there was no reason why they organized the IPAC meeting.
Yeah, but beyond the press conference, you want action. You must formalize it somehow, or else it remains something you said at the press conference. Is there a plan for that?
Even in the press conference, we said that we will continue to engage them as we've always done. So, yes, there will be form of engagement with them beyond the press conference. We know that their interest is not to disenfranchise any voter, because by law, Article 42 of the Ghanaian law says that each eligible Ghanaian is entitled to be registered as a voter. So it is important for them to realize that to ensure that we do not disenfranchise anybody, we should take the registration process to the people.
Okay. Mr. Dadzi, thank you very much. He's a spokesperson for the group of political parties who had held the press conference. As you've heard, the MPP agrees with that position, and they're also asking the EC to listen and expand the registration centers. What about the NDC, by the way? Mustafa Gbande is a deputy General Secretary of the party. Mr. Gbande, I mean, needless to say that you agree, because the MPP agrees. Normally, the two of you would be at loggerheads on this matter, but you agree with all the other political parties and that this was a unanimous position at IPAC. Yet the EC had gone ahead to announce that it will be held only at district offices. What is it that the NDC plans to do now in conjunction with the other political parties to get the EC, I guess, to listen to the collective position of all the parties, including the governing party?
Thank you very much, Evans. It's important that we reiterate our position that the electoral commissioners, most of the decisions they take are original. It does not seem to help Ghanaians understand that a transparent election is required at this time. We've stated earlier that it is very difficult for you to tell a voter to have to travel to a district capital to register, and that the ordinary business of the Electoral Commission is at the polling station and not at the district capital. And so now that all political parties have agreed with this position, it means we have always said what is right. And again, if government fails to provide resources to the Electoral Commission, what can the Electoral Commission do? So government and the Electoral Commission are the ones responsible for the match. If anybody will have to go through a challenge to register, it is not the business of Electoral Commission alone. The government is involved, because if the government does not give the Electoral Commission enough budget, the Electoral Commissioner cannot do their work. And so it's a two-way approach. When I heard of my brother from the MPP saying they agree with our position, that is pretentious, because the MPP is in bed with the Electoral Commission.
I mean, but what was the evidence to support that? How are they in bed with the Electoral Commission?
The government of the day is MPP.
So
government must provide logistics, resources.
But the Electoral
Commission. The
Electoral
Commission is
itself,
saying that we don't have resources.
No, but they haven't said that in the press statement I read last week, that they don't have resources.
Well, I've heard say that due to resource challenge and all of that, they would have to resort to some other means. What I'm saying is that if the Electoral Commission has resources and yet it intends to undertake these exercises that will punish Ghanaians, look, Evans, as we speak, we in the NDC, whether the Electoral Commission intends to proceed with this unreasonable decision or it wants to back a retreat, we are ready. Ghanaians are ready to register. They will go through the pain to register, but they will show the government in 2024.
And by the way, I need to ask you this. I mean, you allege, and I'm reading the EC's press statement here. Never did the EC chairperson explain why they are restricting themselves to the district offices, 268 of them. She didn't give any financial reasons for that. It's just that they thought that was the right thing to do. Will you do anything beyond the complaints tonight on radio and the press conference I've heard other parties also render today?
The NDC has a stake at which we would have to back and stop. Now, we are making the public aware gradually of the biasness of the Electoral Commission, the unpreparedness of the Electoral Commission to do Ghanaians good. When we get to a position where we have to take an action, we will do so. But we believe that at this point, she just wants to punish Ghanaians to help the government. Is involved in this, and so they should go ahead and punish Ghanaians.
I don't
Ghanaians
see that.
Are ready to register.
But Mustafa Bande, we just heard the director of elections for the governing party say they also want the EC to do exactly what you're asking for. So how can they be in bed? They also are unhappy with the Electoral Commission as you are.
It's because they know that this thing would hurt government badly. It's a decision born out of bad faith. That is the weakest decision they can ever take.
But if this will hurt government, then it actually then disproves your point that they are in bed with the EC. But why would the EC do something to a party that you claim is benefiting from its dealings?
Well, they didn't think through this. Theirs was to do a voter suppression agenda.
And that's Mustafa Bande there, and he is the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC. Let's stay with issues relating to politics for a while, shall we? Because as you know, we're building up to that Super Delegates Congress on Saturday, and tonight the chairman of the MPP Election Committee, Professor Michael Quay, is warning all the aspirants to stay off any attempt to buy votes either on the day or leading into the day, because there will be consequences. Listen to Professor Michael Quay.
With regard to vote buying and that kind of thing, we are very mindful of such challenges in politics. Those who have the Constitution of the Republic will see that political parties can't just operate. All they do must be in accordance with democratic principles. That is a mandatory provision of our Constitution. And we will ensure that that is done. It is because of such problems that the committee has found it necessary to also ensure that you cannot bring a telephone, because the telephones take pictures. It's not because of calls, it's because of pictures. to where you are going to vote. We make it an offense so that we don't have a situation whereby someone takes a picture of how he or she voted so as to go and sell it to somebody for some financial interest, whatever. So we are mindful of this, and we are doing all we can, reminding the public also that in this good country of ours, vote buying is an offense. It's a criminal offense. If you engage in it, both the giver and the givee will face criminal consequences accordingly. And in fact, it is because we are all to go by democratic principles that we have invited you here. You are stakeholders in the democratic process, the fourth estate of the realm, and we expect you to actually help us to do what is right in this country.
Well, and as you can trust, your election headquarters will be all over this for you. Samuel Mbura was at the press conference, joins us right now. And Samuel, they also gave us a bit of detail as to how these elections would actually be conducted on the 26th. This is Saturday. Tell us more.
Well, Evans, the vice chairman of the elections committee, Mr. Abankwaye Boa, indicated that the security of the elections has been handed over to the Ghana Police Service. No private security and unauthorized persons, be it bodyguards or whoever individuals may be bringing to the elections grounds, will not be permitted. Government appointees will not be also be given the opportunity to man the elections. Everything is going to be done by the Electoral Commission of Ghana, and the aspirants can only present their representatives to monitor the entire election process. So elections starts from 9 and latest by 1 p.m. Everything should be done. No mobile phones, as the chairman of the elections committee said, among other regulations and modalities that they have agreed with the aspirants.
Thank you very much, Samuel Mbura. I want to join us. We start our coverage from 8 p.m. on election eve. That is Friday. We're going to bring you some very fascinating analysis of all the aspirants, focusing on the front runners, those we consider to be front runners in our own estimation. You don't want to miss that. It's election eve special from 8 to 10 p.m. Friday evening. And then the election day coverage starts at 7 a.m. Till we know the outcome. And then we do some post-analysis for you. You don't want to miss that here on your election headquarters. Now, the tragic phenomenon of children taking their own lives is a heart-wrenching issue that has become increasingly prevalent in recent years. These young lives are extinguished far too soon, leaving families, communities, and entire country grappling with the aftermath. Now, it's emerging that excessive academic pressure, driven by high expectations from parents and educational institutions, and coupled with parents who do not pay attention to the traits their children exhibit, can push children to the brink. In part 2 of our hotline documentary titled Whispers in the Dark, my colleague Ohime Interior delves into what pushes some children to take their own lives and explores the vital roles parents and institutions or states can play in preventing these tragic losses. news channel is across many social media platforms as well. If you missed it on the Super Morning Show earlier today, still ahead, non-payment of contractors and theft of crucial parts are established as reasons behind the non-functioning of traffic and street lights in most parts of the country and the capital especially.
I find it very difficult to understand why a human being like you and I, they go and pull all the cables, cut them and go and sell. Then government will have to look for another money to fix them.
Then the major issue is that contractors are not being paid. They are not being paid.
But some of the assemblies have issues. Monies are not being paid to contractors.
Details of this and more after business. I'm pretty sure many of you driving home right now wonder why the street lights are out and your traffic lights are also not working. And George Affe is here with the very latest on the world of business. And George, we've been talking about the central bank today. He's been asked to resign. Did he say he will?
Evans, we didn't get that from him. Okay. No. So if
he stays.
Maybe if you draw an inference, maybe here he's going to stay.
Okay. What do you have in the headlines?
Well, Evans, coming up in business, Bank of Ghana insists it financed government's budget last year from existing resources and not printing of fresh currencies. And the government finally extends domestic debt exchange program to this Friday, despite receiving about 90% participation in cocoa and the domestic dollar bonds. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Allianz Life and Ghana Pay.
If home is where the heart is, then let's go home, shall we? Let's go where the entertainment is, where the passion is, where the laughter is, and sometimes even the tears too. Let's go where we feel safe enough to share our opinions.
And sweet.
Where we do that embarrassing little dance to our favorite song. Let's go home where the love, the care, and the joy live.
There's no place like home. Connect your home to super fast internet with affordable data bundles from MTN Home. Visit broadband.mtn.com.gh or your My MTN app to sign up today. MTN.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kindle Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom, and my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first point of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Osu Akwaje, or our office near the Osu Stadium. We're also in Tema Community 1, opposite Olam SHS, Kumasi KNUST campus, UCC Cape Coast, and now at the Marina Mall, Airport City. Or call us 0302 764101, 764209, or 762792. Visit our website www.kingdomgh.com.
Luxurious, affordable living is your right, and no one understands it better than BOT Properties. BOT Properties specializes in modern residential buildings and commercial office spaces. Our properties include the Equator, a 12-story made up of over 100 apartments near Accra Mall. Other Equator courts, we offer you the deluxe living experience with our top-of-the-range homes, high-quality homes built with style and precision to suit your lifestyle. The Equator Courts is a gated community with 2-story, 4-bedroom detached houses at Ogbojo, East Legon, near American House. Our office complexes include Zion House, Shiashi, East Legon, Zion House, Sofa Line Interchange, Kumasi. Our offices and apartments are for both rental and outright purchases at affordable prices and with flexible payment terms. Kindly contact us on 0257 960 919 or visit botproperties.com. BOT Properties, the new meaning of affordable luxury.
No matter your water needs,
Syntex has it all. Syntex tank was first to introduce double layer tank, and now you can have as many layers as you want. Syntex tank was first to introduce white inner layer tanks in Ghana, and now introduces the customer specs order, which will let you order any color and size you want. Syntex tanks gives you the biggest warranty of 7 years, which no other tank gives you. So whatever your water consumption, size of project, or demand, choose Syntex tank. Syntex tank, stress-free. Syntex tank, reliable. Syntex tank, maximum guarantee. Call 0244 335 168, Kumasi 0505 555 666, or visit syntexgh.com. Syntex tank, a year strong, a year tough.
I'm afraid. Media Sambisanda mo. Eti emrantia no. Mumu hwan pa na tumi hwe na mo bodom pe mo man yakono. Eye kwabna. No mumu hwan so na tumi just mali me maye ni nyina de. Eye kojo. Enu kro. Kobre tumi hwe na bodom pe mo sense o yisu accident eba. Aye den oban ni do braye. Bu si eti na mo hoban na sem mana hoode ne. Sa ani na kudwo so yisu accident chako. Na enu ne de e ma wo se wo ye krejen fita. Na watimi asiri bedwo ma na feel you. Ey kojo. Yeah. Pepsodent Heba and a Pepsodent Charcoal. Afedie, you're gonna natural.
FDIJ Trading Katuyatu.
Joy 99.7 FM.
You're welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, Bank of Ghana has maintained that it took funds from existing resources to finance government operations for last year. It is therefore rejecting reports that it had to print fresh currencies to finance government budget for last year. There is more in this report.
Governor of the Bank of Ghana maintained that the central bank has the required resources and it does not need to print fresh money to finance government budget for last year.
The government spending that leads to debits to the government account. If there is any need to make a payment, we have the money here on the basis of, monies that the commercial banks have brought to us as reserve requirements, for example. You don't need to go and print money before you can lend money to government. They're completely unrelated. But I know it's just mischief when people try to say, they printed money. It's more sensational.
The governor also rejected reports that it has been financing government operations since 2017.
The Bank of Ghana has acted within the applicable laws. It is not true that the Bank of Ghana has been providing financing for government every year. There has been zero financing in 2017, 2018, 2019, and 2021. The Bank of Ghana has only had to support in the pandemic year of 2020 and the crisis year of 2022.
So what are the specific areas that the overdraft was advanced in 2022? This is what the governor of the Bank of Ghana had to say.
We have a forecasting model, and that forecasting model does not include government expenditures or government financing. The forecasting model that goes into printing orders includes the size of the cocoa crop, for example, the size of the GDP forecast, because it's the quantity of money and the velocity of money. Really, we need to know that have enough specie, currency stock, to be able to finance, the gross domestic product. So those are the type of variable that goes into the determination of making a forecast of currency.
Bank of Ghana governor has also been giving details on the exact time the decision was taken to start construction of the new headquarters and how the project is being financed.
The decision to commence construction was taken as far back as 2019, when the bank generated profits. Appropriations for the head office were made each year from profits made in 2019, 2020, and 2021. The project has therefore been going on for over 3 years. The DDEP only took place in January 2023. If we were to be taking the decision today, building a legacy head office would not have been a priority. However, this is a project that has been running for 3 years and about 50% complete.
The governor also disclosed that, looking at the work done so far, he's sure that Ghana will be able to pass Ghana's first review for the country's program with the IMF next year.
And that is a business text report. Meanwhile, financial economist Professor Lord Mensah says he doesn't think that it was prudent for the Bank of Ghana to finance government operations from commercial banks' reserves placed with the central bank.
If I listen to the governor very well, he indicated that, with the reserves that commercial banks were keeping with the central bank, they have enough buffer to finance government activity, not necessarily for printing. I was thinking those, reserves, deposit reserves are purposely for, exposures like, the shocks that, banks are likely to receive when the economy starts to turn down. So, using it to finance government activities, I asked myself a question whether the core mandate of those, 10% deposit reserves was purposely to finance government reserve. And even if it's supposed to be used to finance government activities, was it supposed to go directly to the government?
Financial economist Professor Lord Mensah. Domestic dollar bond, cocoa bills, and pension funds debt exchange will now come to an end this Friday. This was after government extended the deadline for the exchange of these old bonds for new ones to August 25, 2023. There is more in this report.
According to persons with knowledge of the offer, the extension can be described as an administrative one. This is to allow fund managers of the pension funds some more time to work on the bids that have come in. Joy Business is learning that government has secured some 90% participation when it comes to the domestic dollar bonds and the cocoa bills. This is the second time that the domestic dollar bond exchange as well as the cocoa bills have been extended by the Finance Ministry. Government sources have told Joy Business that if this process comes to an end by Friday, it can technically say that it has concluded the domestic debt exchange program. This should help the country secure its next tranche of cash from the International Monetary Fund by November this year.
And that is a business text report. Now, demand for dollars by corporates continued to pick up strongly since last week. It is not clear for now what is fueling this demand, but some of the bank treasurers have told Joy Business that the move can be linked to most firms that are trying to restock for the Christmas festivities. However, the big question here on the minds of many Ghanaians is that will the Bank of Ghana be able to meet the surge in demand and how that could impact on the city's performance in the coming days. You may need about 11 Ghana cedis, 38 pesos to get a dollar from a commercial bank. To the stock market, if you were a shareholder of Sunday Chartered Bank today, it was up by a peso and it's now worth 13 Ghana cedis, 56 pesos. And that's all for business on Newsnight. Evans.
Thank you very much, George. And a few of your messages on our WhatsApp console. Nana on the Spinters Road says the BOG governor couldn't have financed government since 2017, since the IMF was there then. Also, still on the subject of the central bank, the mess created by the Bank of Ghana cannot be explained away by any well-meaning Ghanaian who has the country at heart. That's Kofi Sedu with his thoughts on that subject. And on the subject of the political parties complaining about the conduct of the Electoral Commission, Ernestine Taifa says Mustafa Gbande got it all wrong. The NDC party should desist from peddling falsehood. EC never said they are facing financial and logistical challenges. And a final one on the same subject, and this is a Kwamwa. Boateng Ablukuma says the NDC, they are always looking for ways to make their party relevant by engaging in frivolous demonstrations, he says, and this is in reference to the EC subject and to the BOG issues. You're still live here on Newsnight on Joy 99.7 FM.
Safe driving saves lives. Drive safe.
Well, we've been asking questions about why traffic and street lights in the country have been non-functional for some time now, especially those in the capital. And you may be witnesses of this as you drive home tonight. It is emerging that non-payment of contractors is a key reason. Now, I'll tell you more shortly, but first, my colleague Samuel Mbura and Nana Boache Yadom visited some spots notorious for this phenomenon and came through with this report. First, Samuel Mbura from Awoshi Barnyard last night.
I've been to the Liberation Road around airport, which is supposed to be the entry and exit point of Ghana. Some of the traffic lights are not working. The same as the UPSA stretch. The 37 military hospital, right in front of that hospital, is not also exempted. A whole lot of areas. The Nima stretch is also a big challenge.
The situation in Barnyard, as expected, Barnyard traffic light is so critical and so nasty. Let me use the word nasty to extend that, every single day we see accidents happening. Accidents, both pedestrians and cars being smashed, and a whole lot of, you know what, when we talk about road accidents, if we have to count the number of fatalities in terms of road accident fatality, we should be counting Barnyard as one of the main contributing factors.
How long has this been the situation?
Ever since I've been here for the past 4 years. Ever since I came here, I understand it's like 6 years straight.
Rashid, thank you very much. So Rashid just represents the many voices here at Barnyard at Ablekuma. I have another person here who is also concerned about it. How often do you use this road? What do you have to say about it?
I've been living in this place for 27 good years, and I can tell you that it's very bad, the situation here. Every night there is an accident here.
I want to take you to the Ashanti Regional Capital, where Nana Bwache Yadom interacted with residents of Amekum on the traffic and street light situation there.
In several communities, dysfunctional traffic lights and street lights have led to traffic congestion, wrong vehicle and pedestrian directions, motorist conflicts and prolonged travel times. The poor illumination at night and safety at road intersections have become a worry to motorists and commuters.
This traffic light always, sometimes it goes on, sometimes it goes off. And even yesterday, as one of my brother was saying, there was an accident here with a VIP and a motorbike. And this traffic light is the inner city traffic light from Kumasi to Ejiso and Accra. And you can see behind you, you have seen that those from Accra to Kumasi, they just stop here and watch those from Kumasi to Accra to come before they move because of the traffic light. And I don't know who is responsible for the traffic light to maintain or to repair when it goes off any.
So many of you have the same complaints. So really, what's the situation? What really is accounting for what we are witnessing across the country? David Asafo Adonting is the acting head of the National Road Safety Authority and says that the functional traffic lights is largely due to the theft of vital components of these traffic lights by individuals who currently they're looking for.
Now, sometimes I find it very difficult to understand why a Ghanaian, a typical Ghanaian, a human being like you and I, would want to approach a public facility, government facility, which we have used the taxpayers' money to produce, to install. And then in the night when you and I are asleep, they go and vandalize. They go and pull all the cables, cut them and go and sell. Then government will have to look for another money to fix them. There are other factors where some contractors who also manage or maintain these devices may come out at a certain point in time to say they have not been paid some money. And so they cannot go doing some more work when the previous one they paid have not been paid.
Well, as it turned out, also contractors who have not been paid are also part of the problem because they've not been paid, are not willing to repair the traffic lights they are responsible for. Listen to the CEO of Top Tech, Cecil Gabra.
We spend about 3 months to find out why traffic lights are not working. Vandalism is also what we found out. Damage of underground cables by unauthorized excavations, especially by the construction firms. Burning of refuse close to the equipment is also one major issue. Now, there's also damage of the ducts and chambers by other utilities in order to share the facility without authorization. Power fluctuations is also one major issue. Now, there's inadequate funding from road fund due to capping of funds by Ministry of Finance. Then the major issue is that contractors are not being paid. They are not being paid. Some 2 weeks ago, I was working, sometimes we go out, I was working with a team from Ghana Police LA. Look, I was standing there right in front of everybody. A gentleman riding a motorbike came over and then switched on those traffic lights. So I went close to him and I said, oh, so traffic lights are working. And then he turned it off again. So I asked him again and said, they haven't paid us, so we can't switch it on. And he put in the padlock and went away. Why are we suffering? Why should we suffer? There are a lot of accidents occurring. In fact, I'm really, really upset. Whoever is concerned must be dealt with. And I'm sure it's coming from the Ministry of Transportation. We need to knock hard. We need to correct this because people are dying.
And that's so true because 43 more people died through road traffic accidents in July 2023 compared to the same period last year. Now, these are figures contained in the latest data on road traffic casualties published by the National Road Safety Authority. According to the data, 1,328 people died through road traffic accidents in July this year compared to 1,221 recorded last year. Let's do sports now, and Ms. Bao joins me with details. Hello, Ms. Bao.
Hello, Evans. Well, of course, I just have to start from your club, Manchester United, and it's Mason Greenwood, and the club has, set to part ways with him after their internal investigation about his alleged abuse over there. And of course, Mason Greenwood himself has released a statement that he stands by the decision that he did not do anything wrong as far as that allegations of abuse against his girlfriend is concerned, but he accepts that he made some mistakes in the course of his relationship with the lady and has decided to take responsibility for same, especially now that he is having to father a child. So not sure where it's going to end. There's been some rumors about Paris Saint-Germain even expressing interest to snap him, or even there have also been suggestions that he might possibly end up at Saudi Arabia with all the exodus of players happening. So we wait to see where Mason Greenwood will be. But to the World Athletics Championship now, and Ghanaian long jumper Deborah Akwa, she has been calling for support in order for her to return to her very best in the sport. And of course, this follows a revelation by her that the country abandoned her after promising to help her undergo treatment that after accepting to compete in the Commonwealth Games despite injured. She explains that all of her colleagues, in fact, need the support of the country in order to continue to raise the flag of the country high.
I know Ghana can do their best to support. I'm not the only one. Like, we all need help. So I think Ghana can do their best to kind of support us. And then, because at the end of the day, if I had qualified, what would they say? It wouldn't be Deborah Akwa, but Deborah Akwa from Ghana. I remember last year when we, Azamati and I, were, I think, the world leaders. But when we posted, the former, vice president posted. So it's not only going to benefit Deborah or myself and my family, but then Ghana as a whole.
Yeah.
So
they
then,
say victory has
if
many
we
friends.
both are going to benefit, then why not help push the talent?
That's a fair.
Deborah Akwa, very fair point there. If the country is going to benefit from heroics, why not invest in their craft? So Evans, very strong message, and I hope that she get the support she needs to be able to recover and return to her very best over there. Well, Fentio Tahiri Fentio is in Budapest covering the World Athletics Championship, so we'll be bringing you more update as and when the event unfold over there. That's all for sports, brought to you by Pepsodent Herbal and Jacko. Pepsodent, every smile matters.
Thank you very much. Charlie Wate, and that's Charlie Let's Go. And it's a festival. Everybody's trooping there right now. Trust me, all white meditative procession has kick-started to the 13th edition of the biggest street festival in Africa. That is the Charlie Wate Festival. The Black Star Square is adjoining streets, and the Osu community are witnessing a new wave of the Charlie Wate Festival. My colleague Jacqueline Asomayebo has been interacting with patrons.
To start the procession in the main Osu street. So I have one of the members here who will just give me a brief as to what they did earlier. So they poured libation. We just want to know more about it. So Ni, can you tell me more about what has happened earlier?
We are processing from the Christian World Council to the Osu Township. Now, as you can see, we have the Osu Uloma, who is the principal chief. Yeah. So you need to, once you are passing to somebody's house, you need to go to the person's house and ask for permission.
Okay, so that was what you did earlier.
We went there for the Wulomo to pray for us so that we will be a successful plan. What is going to be any bad or any negative energy should drive away.
Okay.
So we went there to pay homage to the ancestors. Okay. So as you can see, we went to the Wulomo's place to pray for us so that we can have a successful possession.
Okay. All right, Nee, I see you have this around your neck. What does it signify? And first of all, what's the name of it?
It's called Isop. But in the local language, you call it Nyanyina.
Nyanyina?
Nyanyina. Okay. Nyanyina. But that is called Isop. We are used to drive away negative energies. As we possess through a township, we have some bad and negative energies around. So it's in spirituality, it's used to drive away negative energies and also serve for purification.
All right, sure. So currently, where are we heading to?
And the colorful procession and the festival itself is all across our social media platforms, also on the Joy News channel. You really do not want to miss that. Trust me, you will marvel at what you see. The Chalewote Festival just started and is going all the way to Sunday, and it's exclusive here across our multimedia platforms. Up next is what happened to customer service. That's my opinion with an answer call. Stay.